Thank you. Now, before we start, little side note. I'm a big fan of shock humour. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's, I guess, the really nitty-gritty, offensive jokes. And personally, I'm a big fan of the Mexican shock comics. And no, it's not because they're Mexican. It's because, they're never afraid to cross that border. Gotta love the Mexicans. Speaking of countries, actually, America. Now, I'm British, so I'm not the biggest fan of America. But I would like to say I've noticed in American movies, the bad guy always tends to be British. Has anyone else noticed that? Like, in Avengers, Loki, he was British. And personally, I find this, I don't know, maybe a cry for attention from America. Because let's be honest with ourselves, America is the obese orphan at the adoption centre who daddy left and never came back for. But as a British person, I feel irrationally guilty because Britain is that daddy. So, on behalf of Britain tonight, I would like to stand here and apologise for America's actions in the playground we call planet Earth, especially its help towards the Middle East. Now, we've been thinking about repercussions, but we can't really send it to military school. It's basically already the headmaster. And we can't really send it to its own corner, because it would just invade other corners and say that it's aiding. Now, I know from other people who've already gone, we have a lovely audience in tonight. I know that my family are here, which means my sister is here. Now, 4 words to describe her. Bane of my existence. And it's funny, really, because she's only 8 and I'm 15, so when she says something, that means something completely different to me. An example of this is the other night, my mum went out shopping. She left us at home and I was to babysit. And she was being particularly annoying. Any older siblings know, particularly annoying. And I decided I was going to go get a biscuit. And she comes up to me and she says, "Aarron, can I have a biscuit?" And I thought, you know what? No, you can't. You do not deserve this biscuit. So I leant in, and admittedly it was quite mean of me. I leant in and I said, "No, because I love me more than I love you." And I took the biscuits away. And this kind of came to bite me on the ass later, because at the dinner table... That was attractive, wasn't it? At the dinner table, we were sat there, and Mum said, "So, how was it whilst I was away?" And my little sister April said, "Oh, it was fine, but Aarron was a bit mean." And my mum gave me the look. Any elder sibling will know the look. It's when you've done something and your mother tries to guilt it out of you. She'll just look at you. "What have you done?" So my mum gave me the look, and I was understandably terrified. And my little sister says, "Oh, don't worry, I just wanted to get a biscuit." But then Aarron said no, and he began to furiously love himself over the biscuit tin. She was not best pleased. So on maybe a bit more of a serious note, a few weeks ago it was the anniversary of my grandma passing away, and she passed away 4 years ago. And I'm not too sad about it now, but I remember... What? It was like 4 years ago. I'm not saying that I'm not sad. I'm not some kind of heartless joke machine. But no, so I was thinking back to when they were reading the will, and I remember that she gave me a children's storybook that she always used to read to me whenever I went over. She also left me a little teacup that I used to drink tea out of like a good little British child. And I remember the most dearest gift she could give to me, a 30% chance of hereditary bowel cancer. Now, I don't know about any of you, but who does that? Like, I can imagine she sat there at the hospital and the doctor's like, yes, and for your grandson? And she just goes, Aarron, cancer. I don't know what I've done wrong. So this is my second comedy gig thing performance, and I've realised now that in class I'm getting away with stuff more often. I think the teachers have this mentality of, oh, he's a comedian, we'll let him get away with that now. And at the end of the last term we were doing mock exams, in preparation for the real exams. And I remember my friend Matt, this black guy who sits next to me, he sits next to me in history, which is funny that you wouldn't think in history that those two races go together, but there you go. So we were sat there, and I feel so awfully racist. Must be because I'm British, but so we were sat there, and he decides, it's the last day of the term, I'll just screw with him. So he holds out a ruler, and he smacks his palm with it. Quite hard, like it leaves a rectangular mark on his palm, and he just yells, "Ow, Aarron, you can't do that. I have rights now." And and I thought to myself, you know what? I know he's trying to get me in trouble. I saw my opportunity, and I took it. So I just turned to him, I smiled, and I said, "I don't think the police would agree with you." Now, turns out my teacher had heard this, but luckily, she's a short, white English woman. So as she was giving back the mock exams, I saw that I'd gotten a merit, but she'd actually scribbled it out, put an excellence, and with a smiley face had put, "Sick burn on Matt." Which just goes to show that, we English, we stick together. But thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.